Welcome to A Celtic State of Mind with me, NATASHA MEIKLE, and today I'm delighted to be joined by Celtic Women's Team Manager, FRAN ALONSO. Fran, lovely to have you here.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Good morning. I'm delighted to be here.
Well, thank you for joining us. And firstly, congratulations on what has already been an outstanding season. We've got 2 games left this season. We've got Forfar on Sunday and then Motherwell on the last game of the season, the 6th of June. For those of you tuning in who might not know, we're 2 points ahead of Rangers. We're 3 points behind Glasgow City, who play each other in the final game of the season. And it's a fantastic achievement that Champions League football is now within our own hands, but it's clear from those positions that we can't afford any slip-ups. How important is the mental side of the game as you go into these last couple of games, and how are you preparing the girls at the moment?
So as you say, the mental part of the game is the most important one. We've been in a very tough 3 weeks period with so many games, no time to train, just recover and prepare for the next game. And obviously there are accumulation of fatigue in the legs and in their minds, because obviously it's been very tough. Saying that, it's been amazing for us. We got 31 points for the last 33 possible, which is something that is outstanding. We got a squad of 23 players with a couple of injuries, and 10 of them are teenagers. So it's a very young squad that don't used to play that many games and at that high standard. So for us, the mental preparation is the main thing. The only teams this season that has been able to take points from us are Glasgow City and Forfar. So for us, it's a must-win game. We know that they already took points from us. So if we underestimate them, obviously last game was very good. We played fantastic. We beat them 8-0, but we know it's not going to be anything like that this time. There is a 3 points that obviously we won, but we will have to fight for them, and we will have to try to play at our best.
Yeah, absolutely. You've touched on it there. The last time we played Forfar back in December, it was 2-2. But from our perspective, we've certainly seen massive improvements in the girls' game since that day. In particular, run of form at the moment is absolutely excellent. What would you say are the differences now compared to going into that last game against Forfar? And what changes do you expect to see in the side in this weekend's game compared to that December game?
Well, that was a totally different team. Since then, 3 players left the club. We signed 4 new players. I say when we signed these 4 new players that the squad was now stronger. And yeah, that's pretty much one thing that changes the personnel. But also we got more time to work together. So the girls tactically are much more aware. They are much more familiar with our rotation, with our defending shape, with our transitions. Now for them is something they don't need to think too much about. At that time, when we dropped these 2 points, we weren't as good as a team because we didn't have as much time to work together. Saying that, what we had that day is something that is a trademark of us, as is this fight, believe, and never give up. And we in the 88th minute, I think we were 2-0 down against Forfar, and we managed to score 2 goals in the last 4 minutes of the game to save a point that right now is key for us, a very important point. Any point we can get is key. So yeah, that's pretty much what changed. We have been able to work longer together, and we are a better team as a result.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing you touched on there is that fight, that determination, that grit. And that's really something that's becoming synonymous with the girls' team. Everyone recognises that they do just have this never give up spirit. And it's absolutely fantastic to see. And I think it's something that's been really important in the games against Rangers, which those points have really been vitally important this season in securing the second spot where we are at the moment. Each of those games was tough. It was hard fought. There was spells when we were on the back foot, but in every single game, the girls managed to get the victory. How much does that speak to the character of the team, and what sort of dressing room do you have there?
It says everything. It says everything. So obviously we got a psychological profile of the player before we recruit them. We want players that they feel comfortable suffering, that they can go through thick walls and still fighting and never give up and don't lose belief. And then, really, our environment, we encourage that. We encourage the mental aspect of the game. For us is the most important. as you say, against Rangers, we got the 3 points all 3 times in the last 10 minutes of the game, all 3 times. Against Glasgow City, before the first lockdown, we beat them in the last kick of the game. So our mental strength is always a trademark of us. We put a lot of emphasis, and for me, is one of our best attributes. We are where we are now in a good position on the table because as a team we fight. We know how to fight together. We know how to suffer. We know, obviously, as I say, with 10 teenagers, we know, we are a team. Without that, maybe that the same experience that the other top 2 teams got. But we know our strengths, and we know fight and how learn how to suffer was key for us. And I think we are applying it almost to perfection.
Yeah, I would agree. From a fan's perspective, that's exactly what you want to see from your team, is that sort of determination and fight. And it really is brilliant to watch as a spectator and as a fan. How important was that during that COVID break that you mentioned there? Obviously, you had that period of shutdown, which must be so difficult for a professional team to go through. How did you manage that, both in terms of mentality, to keep the focus, to keep the momentum going, but equally in terms of fitness when you weren't able to train as a full team?
That was the hardest time probably in my career in football. So many years, too many. I'm too old, unfortunately. But that was a very tough period. And to be honest, what I did or what we did, it didn't work. We only lost 2 games this season, and both has been straight after the lockdown. So whatever we did, it wasn't good enough to later compete and get the 3 points. So obviously that's something that is good to get praise, but it is also good to be critical and to know what we could have done better. And I think I'm putting a lot of review and attention of the details of that period, because obviously we didn't compete good enough. After I got my reasons, but yeah, the fact is that we didn't compete good enough, and that's the only 2 defeats we have. We didn't even score 1 single goal in both of these games. So this is so unlike us, and that's something that in the future, hopefully, I will never have to do another pre-season of 4 weeks, hopefully, for the rest of our lives. But if it happens, definitely something that we have to do better, because I don't think we did good enough.
It was after those couple of games and at that sort of turn that people started talking about the league as a 2-horse race between Rangers and Glasgow City. How much did that fuel the girls to go on and sort of secure the position they're in at the moment and really push them on following that? Because like you say, following that and following the Glasgow City result, the results just got better and better. And, since then we've conceded something like 3 goals. It's been absolutely excellent. So do you think comments like that help fuel your dressing room, and did you use those?
Of course, that those comments get us even more together. We know it's pretty much, we got the feeling of it's us against the wall. So we feel like we got the love of our fans. So I feel like you either support Celtic or you really dislike Celtic. And we are where we are, and we believe in each other, we believe in ourselves, and these comments made public. They really fuel this togetherness, this fight, these spirits in us. So I was delighted, to be honest, when I hear it. I disagree. At least I thought them disrespectful, because you could say it's a 4-horse race, and I would agree with that. But say 2-horse race when we only play 8 games, I found it disrespectful. But at the same time, I was delighted to hear it. It fired the girls, and since then, I mean, we use it in too many team talks, to be fair, to motivate ourselves. So yeah, it's been fantastic. So I want to publicly thank the few people that say that publicly, because it really helped us.
Yeah, absolutely, Fran. No, we thought exactly the same when we heard them. Any team can thrive on those comments, but none more so than the girls, because they really took them and ran with them, didn't they? Touching on something that I mentioned, this real lack of conceding goals, 3 in the last 11 games. The girls are strong all over the park, but there's something about the defence that seems so solid, and they really don't concede many goals. It really does speak to the quality of the defence when you've got players like Chloe Craig, Joey Bartle, Caitlin Hayes, Warrington, Nicholson. You've got so many good defenders at your disposal. Would you agree that that's a real strong area of your team, and something that's been really important in getting the 3 points is having a defence that hardly concede goals?
100%, but obviously you mentioned great defenders, but there are other great defenders in the team. So if Mariah is playing, if Sarah Jones is playing, if London Polar is playing, whoever is playing, Lisa Robertson, Sarah T. Garden, they are Anna Philby, they are all of them great defenders. So we defend as a team, and that's something that has been fantastic for us this season. Sometimes we go in a high block and we are very aggressive in our pressing, and sometimes we go into medium block and we are equally efficient. Obviously we put a lot of emphasis, especially in the games that we know we are not going to have our average 65-70% possession. We put a lot of emphasis in our defending shape and how we deal with the rotations of the opponent. I normally go at the back, and when somebody maybe leave the position, we emphasize not only the position. So we put a lot of emphasis on that, and I think it pay off. I mean, the only goal, for example, in the 3 games against Rangers, the only goal we concede, it shouldn't have been a goal, and that say a lot, because with the quality Rangers got, to keep all 2 clean sheets and then concede 1 goal only is really, really impressive. Sometimes it's because of the organization, and sometimes it's the desire of put your body on the line, which again have to do with the mental attributes. So overall, I have to be delighted, because I think with the average age group of the team where we are now is a very, very impressive season, regardless of what happens in the next 2 games, whatever the results are.
How important is it to balance that sort of age issue that you've got? Well, not an issue, it's clearly working in your favour. You've got a very young squad, but you've also got more experienced members of the team as well. How do you balance that, particularly going into a difficult spell of the season? You want to have the young players in because they've got that ability and capability, they're mentally strong, but equally you want to be able to rely on the experience and the knowledge and the game management of the more experienced players. How do you balance that? And is squad rotation something that's really important, particularly when the fixture list is so congested?
I think we have a very clever, that's why we did it, and it worked very well, a very clever way of managing all this busy period. So, I remember one game, the average age of our team was 22-year-old. So that's probably the youngest of the season of any team. It's very important to find this balance. You want to have in the squad these young players who are the future of Celtic Football Club, but also the Scotland national team. They are all youth internationals, or most of them youth internationals. Very, very quality players. The only thing they lack is experience. So I wanted to provide them with this experience in terms of playing minutes, not only playing minutes against teams that are below in the table, against any team. The other day, 17-year-old Kate Nicholson came in the second half against Rangers when we were drawing. So you show that we have, you show them that we have a good belief in them by actually giving them, not that telling them that they are good and we believe in them. And then you got obviously the players like Natalie Ross, Lisa Robertson, who know the league very well, who has been playing, Chloe Craig. So players that got a lot of experience, that know the league very well, and also are good role models for our players. So yeah, this balance for us is very important. This mix of young players with a lot of talent and mix of experienced players that can teach our values, which is for us, that is a very good model to make sure that the team goals and the longevity of the project is successful.
It certainly seems to be working, and something you said there is longevity. There's no way of giving these young players experience without playing them, so it's great to see them coming through the squad and getting real proper game time, like you've mentioned. And one thing that happens so often is there's so much plaudits given to the girls and so much credit given to the girls, but a lot of the plaudits are also coming your way, especially on our show. We think that you're doing a fantastic job, and you've certainly got the team firing on all cylinders, and you really seem to tactically know what it takes to get the girls to get the points. But one thing that sticks out for a lot of people is your passion on the side of the park, your style, your energy, your enthusiasm. Has that always been your style? And is it something that you think helps transfer onto the girls onto the park and lifts their spirits as well?
Well, I have to be honest, Natasha. So when I watch the games, I try not to look at myself. I never plan to do that. It's just the way I live football, and I'm very passionate. I always been like that. When I started in football so many years ago with under nines team, I was exactly the same. For me, it's all about, football is about fans. It's about it's about feelings. And I love it, and I am in football because of what it means to people. So for me, it's all about passion. And normally the teams I've coached in the past, if they got something in common, is this. Obviously, we try to play a great brand of football. I love our positional play. I love to play beautiful football. But the trademark, probably, I would say, is this passion, this character, this enthusiasm for the game. It's not only about winning football games. It's about the games we win mean something to people, mean something to our fans, mean something to our club. So yeah, no, I always been like that. Sometimes when I thought, oh, what you are doing, man. At the time you don't even think about that. It just came. But I'm happy that we can transfer this passion to the girls, because the girls show real passion and desire every time when after a huge win. My favorite part is wake up in the morning and see their pictures celebrating. I think they are brilliant at celebrating great wins. So
they are.
Hopefully we can celebrate two more, one at a time. But hopefully we do well in this Sunday against Forfar, and we got one more celebration, and then we're going to the last to finish what it could be a season that will stay in our minds for the rest of our lives.
Absolutely. And do you know what it is? I feel like the passion doesn't only transfer from the side of the pitch onto the park, it transfers to the fans as well. And one thing that I've really enjoyed seeing this season is a wider group of fans get really involved and really passionate about the women's game. You've got, fan media sources like ours and others starting to cover the games more and more, and it draws a wider audience. It gets spoken about more, people get more invested in it, and particularly over the last few games of the season, we've seen massive investment in it and massive people tuning in to watch and getting passionate and excited about it. And I think that stems from you and the team itself. Watching the scenes we see at the end of the game, like you mentioned, really transfers to a fan, and it's something that we can all enjoy. And how important do you think is engaging people and getting more people involved and getting more people watching it? How important do you think that is in growing the women's game?
I think it's key, and you are right. For me, the way I like to see it is, we are not only a team, we are a club. We are one club, and for me, it's equally important the fans, than the players, than the board, than the staff. It's one club. And when you are passionate, when you fight, when you got this don't give up mentality, that is transferred to the fans, is transferred to the club, is say who we are. And I think it's fantastic. The other day in the game against Hibs, I saw two masks, and just these details for me, it made me so proud. One was like Donaldinho, in reference to Rachel Donaldson, and the other was with the three results that Celtic women had against Rangers this season. For me, this means the world. It means a lot. It means you know that what you are doing on the pitch, it means something to people, and that's why we are here. So yeah, that's very, very important in terms of growing the women game. It's exactly the same. When you got fans that are this passionate, people wearing the Celtic shirt with the name of our players, of the female players at the back. For me, this means a lot. Mm-hmm. And we've been unlucky this season, obviously, with not being able to play in front of our fans. But on the other hand, they've been able to see us in TV, and everyone knows our team. Everyone knows our players, and that's fantastic for us. The only bad I have to say, for example, the other day, massive game against Hibs, I think for a league like the Scottish League, it's very, very important that you don't put women footballers to play in that pitch where it's impossible to play football. This league has grown a lot in quality, and we have to provide the girls with the best facilities possible. And that is something that hopefully it will never be allowed again, because it's very, very bad for the women game in general, and obviously massive gain, and it became a fight in the air which nobody wanted. So apart from that, definitely I think the league is growing. In the past, we used to sell our best players, in terms of the league, and now we are recruiting the players here. So the Scottish League is a league that now people is considering, top players are considering to go, while before it was the other way around. So that's why all these little details, we are growing. Since I first started here to where we are now, I can see a very big improvement, but we have to keep improving, and things like that, it means a lot. You cannot have top footballers playing in that pitch, because if I am a top footballer in England, in Spain, in Italy or France or whatever, I would say, why are you gonna go to Scotland to play in that potato field? So definitely is not is something that we should look in the future.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I think the key things for growing women's sport and women's football are visibility, making sure that it's covered by prominent mainstream media sources. And we have seen the growth of that this season, but I think we can certainly do more in the promotion of the women's game and making sure all games are accessible on mainstream sources, and the facilities that we play in as well, as you've touched on. If we want to grow and develop the women's game and improve the quality in every aspect, then they need to be playing at top class facilities. And something we saw this season was the girls getting the chance to play at Celtic Park. And for me as a fan, I think that certainly improves the quality of the game and the girls' game as well, getting to play at that sort of top class venue. We've seen next season, obviously, the season ticket holders are going to, included with their season ticket, are going to get access to one women's game at Celtic Park. How important do you think it is to the girls, and how much would you like to see more of the games being played at Celtic Park when possible?
I think it's very important, and it's exactly what I told you before. It's one club. So for me, if you are a fan, if you support Celtic men, you support Celtic women because it's your club. I signed for the club, and I became the biggest Celtic women and the biggest Celtic men fan. For me, it's Celtic. It's not women or men. It doesn't matter what is after. It's Celtic, and that's our club, and that's the club we love. And we want them to do well. And we want them to have the best facilities, the best staff, the best players, because it's Celtic, and we are one of the biggest clubs in Europe, and we want to carry on being like that. So in the women's side, in the men's side, if we do a hockey team, whatever we do, we want to be the best, because that means Celtic. Celtic equals quality. So I think it's very, very important. The club is doing great efforts. So obviously it's been announced that we are going to play next year as well. We are hoping to get, the record of fans, to have many thousands there supporting us, and then hopefully we can have a great game and make a fantastic day for, that nobody will forget. Like it was this year at Celtic Park. It was amazing. The only thing that was missing was the most important thing, which is our fans there. Can you imagine how it would have been if we score the goal that we score with a full stadium? That would be, something amazing.
It would be incredible, and it's certainly something that I think is in the future of the girls and of the club, because as I've touched on, we see so many more people getting invested in it, and particularly with the game on the season ticket is the chance for more people to go along and watch the women's game. And I think watching this team, you're only going to need one game to get hooked on that passion and energy to be like, I'm going back to that, I want to see more of that. And that just feeds on itself and helps grow the game. So I am particularly looking forward to getting some girls' games at Celtic Park next season and opening the game to a broader audience. And something I think will help with that is the possibility of Champions League football. Something we said earlier in the show is obviously if we win our next two games, it's in our hands, we can achieve that. How important is that to the girls, and how much of a motivator has it been this season, the prospect of playing at a tournament like the Champions League? How much has that given them that extra incentive?
I've been doing it all season. Obviously, we are in a very good position now, but I will stick to what we've done. For me, it's very important because, as I told you, the mental aspect of the game, in my opinion, is the most important one. It is important that I don't put too much pressure on our girls. I want them to focus on what they can control, which is their performance, their work rate, their focus, in terms of not leaving your position, deal with the rotation. That's what we can control, and that's what we have to control. And I don't want them to think about, if we win that many games, if this team do that, and then we could win, because that will, first, it can make them lose focus, and second, it can put too much pressure. So for me, obviously, as I say, Forfar took points from us. We have to try to beat them this time. It's a home game. It's our last home game. I want to finish strong at home, and we will do our very best to try to get the 3 points without underestimate the opponent. If we underestimate the opponent, we might struggle. and that's why I make sure we won. Now, if we get the 3 points against Forfar, then obviously we go into the last game of the season knowing that a win will mean Champions League football. For us, achieve Champions League football this year is a unbelievable achievement because of what I say. Because I know we just turned pro, but we didn't turn pro in the way that other clubs turn pro, signing a lot of experience, a lot of quality, very expensive players. We turned pro with 10 teenagers. So for us, it's like more like a long-term project. So of course we are Celtic and we want to fight for the best, but for us finishing third, it wouldn't be a failure. It's a great experience to be able to these teenagers grow, get experience, and then be one of the dominant teams in the country in the future. So for us, if we are able to achieve champion in football this year, it's an unbelievable achievement. It's something that is not a miracle because we are Celtic, but it would be unbelievable achievement. And I would be absolutely delighted if we finally manage that. But as I say, our focus cannot go into Champions League. It should be against try to beat Forfar because 2 games ago against them we didn't do it.
Absolutely. Moving on slightly, women's football is obviously something you're passionate about. I'm passionate about it too. You started in the men's game though, with spells at Everton, at Southampton, before joining Celtic in January 2020. As someone who's experienced both men's and women's football, what would you say the key differences are?
My personal opinion is if you can successfully manage a women team, you have no problem to manage a men team. I think women football gives you more challenges. Obviously, there is some factors that affect the women game that you don't have in the men game. There is more hormonal change. The way women react much better to feedback, while men react very well to aggressivity. So it's totally different. My first experience in the women game, I got it totally wrong. Thanks God I learned quick, and it was only a couple of months. But I came from the men game, from the professional men game, from the Premier League. So what I saw there do, and what obviously the way you motivate a professional or get the best from a professional player, a male, sometimes it wouldn't work at all with a female footballer. Don't get me wrong, there are you get some of the female footballers, they get very good reaction to aggressive approach, but yeah, normally it's a totally different approach. It's more based on feedback, a constant feedback, positive or negative, constant feedback and different challenges. And then obviously you got the tactical differences. So if you think a male footballer, a goalkeeper, the average, I don't know in feet, but in meters is like 192. So it's very, very tall. The average in a female goalkeeper is 183. They both defend the same size goal, and the size of the pitch is the same. So, obviously there are potentially, for example, in the main game, at some point you have to engage. Yeah. So to avoid shooting. Mm-hmm. In the main game, normally you shoot in the edge of the box. In the women game, you have to engage further because obviously there are more possibilities because the goalkeepers are smaller and the goal is equally big. It's just an example of how the different challenges of the men and the women game. I've been in both at the top, at the highest level of both, and they are both equally rewarding. Obviously, the biggest difference in terms of outside is obviously the resources. The resources of women football are right now are like miles away from the men, and they are better than they were 10 years ago when I first started in volunteering in the women game. Compared to now, is like different worlds. But still, obviously, they are not where they should be. But I think every club, every fan, we are all slowly striving towards equality. There are some clubs actually I was lucky enough to be where one of their mottos is they pay men and women equally. Like Louis FC, and that was my main reason to join the club. I agree with that, and I love that the club stands by these values. So, but I think every club is doing something to invest more, to increase the level of professionalism, and we are all helping the women game.
Yeah, it's something I certainly hope to see more of as other clubs. Celtic obviously do a great job at it, but hopefully more clubs will recognise the value of the women's team and make proper investment in that and then grow the game, which is better for the league as a whole. Obviously, coming from the English Premier League, on your way to Celtic. Did you ever have anyone question you why women's football? Why are you making what they perceive as this step down, as people like to call it, which is obviously not true. But I'm sure you had questions and comments about the decision to move to women's football. What was your response to those?
Yeah, well, so the first question I got was my own dad. Well, from Everton, I went to Lewis, to second division women. But obviously, for me, it's all about, I say before, for me, it's all about heart, about passion. So it's not about, anything else that what you do means to fans, how you can affect in a positive manner to people. That's what I think was every human being is in this world to do, to try to improve lives in any way you can. So doctors obviously save lives and they improve your life in an amazing way. I just happen to use football as a tool to try to make people happy when we can. And for that reason, if it's a second division team in England, but they got the mottos they had and the ambitions they had, for me it was the perfect fit. And I am, if I could come back, I would still do it. And that's why the same reason why I joined Celtic. I learned from Celtic first time in the changing room at Southampton with so many former Celtic players. You got Victor Wanyama, Virgil van Dijk, Danny Fox, Fraser Foster, Arthur Boruk. So I shared changing room with so many former Celtic, and they got one thing in common, which is very difficult. When a player leaves a club, sometimes they got good feelings, sometimes they don't have good memories or good feelings about the club. Every single Celtic player I met in my career, former Celtic player, they still love the club. And I thought, wow, that club is special. So when the opportunity came, of course, I thought, wow, I need to be there. And then I came here, and to be fair, the reality exceeded my expectations. I love the city. I love the passion of the people when it's healthy, of course. I think it's a fantastic football city. I was in Liverpool before, which is another top football city. I love my time there, and I think Glasgow is the same or even better. It's all football means the world to many people, and you can use football to make people happy, which happened to be this season. All the Celtic fans that follow the women game are having a fantastic season so far, and this makes us so proud and so happy.
Yeah, that's great to hear all of it. The fact about the ex-players speaking so highly about the fact that it's exceeded your expectations as a fan, that's encouraging. One thing I remember you saying in your interview when you joined is that when Celtic want you, you can't say no. So was it things like the stories from these ex-players? Was it the stature of the club? Is that what really enticed you to Celtic and to Glasgow?
Yeah, it wasn't necessarily how big the club is, although you always want to aspire to be at the best club you can be. But yeah, it was definitely the feedback I got with these former players about what about the city, about the passion, about how the club look after them. They are Celtic supporters for life. Some of them they are still, every time we win, they are still texting me in Instagram, or it's amazing how they are still following Celtic. So
Yeah.
it definitely, I knew from then, I knew it was a very special club, and I never thought that they would be interested, or you are in England, it's different country, but obviously when the opportunity came, you cannot say no to Celtic, and I was delighted. And yeah, I think it's been a very hard year in terms of lockdowns, COVID, very, very hard year for absolutely everyone, for every human being in the world. But as a football experience, I think it's been a very positive one, very challenging one, but very positive one.
Yeah, but I would definitely agree with all of that. We've been covering a lot more of the women's games on the show. We've been drawing a large audience to it, and we've been getting more and more people invested. Least of all, our other contributor, Russell Boyce, who you've met at press conferences before, who is, I think, your biggest fan. But you've started to see more and more people getting drawn to the game. But there is this still lingering undertone of people who say, I don't want to watch women's football. It's not at the same standard. Why would I be interested in that? And we try and answer it on here ourselves. When you're talking to Celtic fans, you're watching people play for Celtic, and I don't understand how you can't get behind that and support it and just give it one game and you will be invested. What's your response to people who still have this sort of attitude we just can't shift away from the perspective that football is for men? What would your comment to them be, and how would you encourage them to give the women's game a try?
I obviously I respect every opinion. Everyone is entitled to have the feelings they want. But for me, as I say before, for me, it's one club, and if you are a fan and we have a very tough season, because I support as well, obviously Celtic, any Celtic team, men under 18s, under 14s. But it's been a challenging year, and not a very good one, apart from obviously the treble. But it hasn't been an amazing season in terms of our men's side. So if you are a fan and you only support the men, you have a very bad season. But if you also support your women's side, you could be paying some banter back to the Glasgow derby rivals. So it's a great opportunity to feel happy for your club beating your rivals. So obviously, if you don't feel like that, then you don't, and it will take time. Probably they will feel different in a few years. It's only our first year as professional. The sport size is growing, is consistently growing, but at the moment, so many people I met, they didn't know even we have a women's side. So I think now, obviously, the club is doing great effort in social media. We are bringing players that are well recognized. So I think it's only a matter of time. But yeah, I will say, if you support a club, support a club. Whatever. If we do a hockey team, as I said before, why you don't want Celtic to win? It's Celtic. Is the values, is the club who would stand for something. So I would support them whatever they play at the sport league.
Can only echo everything you've said, Fran. And something that we've tried to say in our show is that the men's season has not went well. When was the last time you felt a surge of enjoyment watching your team score a goal in a really important game? And we've been getting that from the women's team this season. That feeling is something so important to fans. And if you can get that from another Celtic team, use it and enjoy it. And we've certainly loved it this season. And looking forward to next season. Obviously, we're still in this sort of transition of we are professional, but it's just been a recent transition, and we're seeking to sort of build on that and establish that more. Have you started thinking about next season yet, and any targets you might have in terms of improving the squad, in terms of taking that next step to be more professional in terms of the players that we're looking at, how widely we're casting the net? Are you still focused on this season, or is the summer starting to come into your head now?
Yeah, I mean, the main focus, of course, is still this season, because we got still 2 more games to play, which, like every game we play, they are absolutely key. Every game we play this season is like a final. We approach every game like, it's a must-win game. Of course, you cannot always win in football, but we approach with this mentality. So, of course, that's the priority. But yeah, we got a very limited time. It's going to be only like 3.5 weeks break, and then we are back for pre-season. So, of course, we've been working as well towards next year. There is improvement of facilities, massive improvement of facilities, massive improvement in resources. And then, I had already some very important meetings with several people at the club, and we are obviously as well spotting our football targets. We got some players that we want to bring. And yeah, like we need to improve the squad, bring a little bit more experience at the highest level, to help even more to these young players that we were talking about, to develop training alongside players that has won many things and has competed at the highest level for many years. So that's what we are trying to do, and we got the support of the club, the support of Dom, our new CEO as well, who is as well very happy with our team, and yeah, we will try to have a better season. But of course, at the moment the focus is on Sunday. It's important that we focus on the 3 points if we can on Sunday.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you very much for joining us today, Fran. We certainly wish you all the best for the next 2 games in the season. We're looking forward to watching them and covering them here on A Celtic State of Mind. But in the meantime, Fran Alonso, thank you for joining me on A Celtic State of Mind.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.